It started with an innocent visit. My daughter had planned a short weekend trip to the lake property, looking forward to relaxing by the water and enjoying some quiet family time. What should have been a peaceful, ordinary weekend immediately turned into chaos the moment Karen got wind of it. Apparently, she had been lurking nearby, waiting for any excuse to interfere. Within hours of my daughter's arrival, I received a call from the HOA claiming that my daughter's presence violated some obscure rule they had concocted. And as expected, Karen filed a lawsuit against me, absurdly arguing that she had authority over who could enter my own property. I immediately prepared for what I knew would be another battle of wills. This was not the first time Karen had tried to harass my family, and she had underestimated the lengths I would go to protect my property. I gathered all deeds, legal documents, and proof of my ownership. I also made sure my K9s were ready, strategically stationed around the property to ensure no one could trespass or intimidate anyone. When I arrived at the property, the scene was tense. Karen was standing at the lake entrance, waving her papers and shouting into her phone, trying to make herself look important. "You cannot have her here. This violates HOA rules. This is illegal," she bellowed, hoping that volume alone would intimidate me or my daughter. I stepped out calmly, maintaining control of the situation. My K9s flanked the driveway and the perimeter, growling low and menacingly enough to make anyone pause. "Karen," I said in a firm tone, "this property belongs to me. My daughter has every right to be here. You are trespassing. Step back immediately." Karen froze, momentarily stunned by the sight of the disciplined K9s and my unyielding stance. She tried to assert her authority, waving her papers frantically, but the officers I had already notified were on their way, and her arguments were rapidly losing any credibility. As the minutes passed, tension mounted. Karen's phone rang constantly as she attempted to call in reinforcements from the HOA, but the officers arrived swiftly. They confirmed my ownership of the property, reviewed my documents, and immediately dismissed Karen's claims. She was now left standing there, powerless, knowing that her attempt to intimidate had failed completely. I watched as her face turned red with anger and embarrassment. Her plan to make me fear the HOA, to use her position to intimidate my family, had utterly backfired. My daughter was able to enter and enjoy the property freely, while Karen's threats and legal posturing were rendered completely useless. Not content to let it end there, I took further action. I filed a formal harassment complaint against Karen and the HOA, documenting the repeated patterns of intimidation, trespassing, and abuse of their supposed authority. The officers assured me that any future attempts would result in criminal charges, and Karen would now have a permanent legal record of her misconduct. By the afternoon, the lake property was calm. The water shimmered peacefully under the sun, the breeze rustled through the trees, and my daughter finally felt safe to relax. Karen's interference had not only failed, it had left her humiliated in front of her peers and the HOA board. The lesson was unmistakable. No amount of threats, legal manipulation, or intimidation could overcome solid legal authority, careful preparation, and strategic protection. My property, my family, and my rights were completely secure, and Karen had learned, once again, that trying to assert control over what didn't belong to her would only end in failure.